Hello, wonderful people, and welcome back to Expressions of Happiness, the podcast that seeks to unearth humanity's oldest and most pressing question. What does it mean to be happy?
Woo! Oh, buddy. It feels so good to be sat across from your next to.
Likewise.
This wonderful human being. That is David Hart. I am Will Brocklebank, and yeah, it has been a minute. It's been a fair minute, to be honest. It's not left the heart at any point. However, it has left the physical existence for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Hot minute. Yeah. But with good reason. Good reason. There's been a lot going on. You probably would have been seeing on the old serotonin channel, you know, the events game has increased dramatically. Lots of very, very fun stuff going on in that space. Football's still going like an absolute trooper. Absolute pleasure to be a part of that. There's been moving of houses. As you can tell, to be fair, two moves of houses, actually, quite crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, through this whole time, we've just been desperate to get back behind the mic, and we felt anyway that the experience that we had with the first couple of podcasts or episodes that we did, one of which we released, and then one of which we're about to talk about, it just felt like a really special experience. And I think both of us really, really enjoyed the process of the research, talking to people and really exploring those concepts of being happy. But yeah, in my context, the reality is I just haven't been able to make it happen and piece everything together. But we are back with a bang, because this man right here, David Hart, is here to pick up the slack.
Yeah, here to pick up the pieces.
Here to pick up the pieces. I really threw them everywhere as well.
You did. It was a real jigsaw. But hopefully we're gonna start really driving this forward this year, and I'm so excited. Honestly, we're gonna have some amazing guests, some incredible conversations, and I think some real useful insights coming from this. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be an amazing time.
It's going to be a beautiful time. And I'm also very excited about this episode.
Ooh, yeah. Recorded previously, but my God, is it juicy? It's a beauty.
It's a juicy. We've been sitting on this one for months. And I'm very, very looking forward to sharing this episode with you all, because, yeah, it's a special episode. So this is our inaugural guest to grace us with her ineffable charm is none other than my sister, Nicola Bragg-Hart.
Woo!
So, she just has this, overwhelming, almost enervating sense of joy, optimism, enthusiasm, passion for all things arts, creativity, play.
Never met anyone like it.
No.
A pure ball of positivity.
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly, because I feel like we're pretty positive, but my God, does she blow us out of water.
She's a tidal wave of positivy.
Tsunami.
Yeah.
Not to go too aggressive and deep, but
not the best metaphor. But
no. But it was needed. She really does come in hot.
Yeah,
she comes in hot.
And she really wants to utilize the value of creativity. Share it with her children. Teach children happy habits, positive patterns, and something that hopefully that we can take into our own lives and better understand our pasts and help shape our futures as well. So yeah, I think you're really gonna get a lot from this episode. There's one caveat to this. In the episode itself, we mention a space that she wanted to open, which is Joy Connection, which is a cafe space which utilizes the work she does in her own personal work, but it's a space for children and parents alike to come together, and she's made it happen. She has a cafe now in Bury St Edmunds, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful space. I really implore anyone, if they're around, to go out and check it out.
Bury St Edmunds, Angel Hill.
Yeah.
And the real embodiment of play. True embodiment of play. And I think that makes sort of this episode just that bit better as well, because it's just so amazing to think that she had this idea, this concept, which, she started speaking about on this podcast, and then we actually come to release that podcast, and it's happened. There's some real magic in the power of action, truly, and it just makes everything that she says just that extra bit sweeter.
Yeah, and I feel like from that, it's a call to action for everybody else. You know, don't rest on your laurels. Just do it. Just get out there. If you're just make it happen. And it, you know, if you work hard enough, it can. And she's made it happen. So
she really has. She really has. And we're so confident you're going to enjoy this episode. I know we did. And yeah, please do watch this space. We are back, and this time we mean it. This is Expressions of Happiness.
it is with great honour that I introduce Nicola Bragg-Hart.
Thank you so much.
It's
so crazy to hear all those things like Bullet pointed out.
It's a pretty big range of accolades you've got going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, bask in that glow.
Yeah, bask. Are you basking?
It's kind of. Shouldn't we all bask every now and then?
Well, we are.
True. Well, I'm going to bask in your glow as well.
I'm going to bask.
It's a strong glow, and I'm going to bask in it.
I will
it's a powerful
I'll
share
the glow.
Yeah, share that glow. Now,
Amazing.
Before we really dive into all things play, we love to start these episodes off with a couple of hopefully what will become traditions. And I can't remember which way round we started last time.
I think it was good news first, wasn't it?
Good news
so
first.
I can do the good news.
We do a little role reversal each time we come to a new ep.
Amazing.
So Dave, again, take it away.
Yeah, good news. So this is all for the horticulturalists out there, or the environmentalists, or people that just care about the planet in general, you know, and I think that's all of us included. So a new study has found that butterfly populations, which are crucial and key to pollination and greater biodiversity, have increased 200% in people's gardens than other habitats. So people's gardens and other habitats.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Because lots of people are actually happily putting down wild seed this year, aren't they? And they're letting their grass grow a little bit more, which is, well, it's clearly helping, which is incredible.
Yeah, this indicates to me that people are really, really trying to involve themselves in their own means, in the ways that they can, to try and help.
That's great, because a lot of people maybe feel like, I'm only making a small difference. What can I do? I'm so small in this big, massive, wide world. So to see the figures that clearly mount up from those small little changes, that's really cool.
Well, interestingly, before we broke up for the half term, we had a conversation with, or there was a communication with the local council in Cambridge. We have a massive field, like absolutely humongous, and we own one of them, but the other one is partially owned, I think, either by the council or something along those lines. And what we're going to be doing is letting parts of that field just grow. So we're going to say, permanently, it's not going to be cut from this point on. Originally, they were going to take a big fat chunk, and I'm all about the rewilding, but it would have had a little bit of an impact on the curriculum. But we've sort of come to some arrangements of like how that's going to work, and it's a massive amount of space.
Nice.
So yeah,
You can't play cricket with the crickets, huh?
No.
How dare you?
No, we wouldn't have been able to. We would have lost all manner of equipment and probably children along that lines. Yeah.
Right.
Although
Where's Daniel?
we haven't seen him for 5 days.
But butterfly populations are up.
Rewilding, baby.
Rewilding, baby.
Yeah.
So that's the good news I'm hitting people with today. So keep it up. Let's keep up the good work.
Amazing.
Stop that good work. Now, then it comes to my turn, and as we've discussed, you know, we're big lovers of sort of the pub culture that's created, the sense of community that comes from that, and the good times that alcohol can bring. But there is always sort of it's a tale of two halves. Sometimes it can be amazing, sometimes it's not so amazing. And we're all about exploring different ways in which you can enjoy that environment and that space with other people, but not necessarily wake up with a sore head every single morning. So Dave's going to really like this one. Now, I know that you're not a big fan of beer.
No.
I'm not a massive fan of gin.
Okay.
So I tried to find the middle ground.
Halfway happy.
Yeah,
Between beer and gin.
Beer and gin.
I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
intrigued.
Interesting.
Yeah. Don't worry. I didn't go too insanely creative with this, but it's for the right reasons. You're going to have a good reaction to it. So
Amazing.
I actually came across a cider.
Oh,
So
I like a
this-
cider. Okay.
This is a non or a low or non-alcoholic cider made by none other than Thatcher's. Now,
yes.
now no one will, only close friends and Dave will, I imagine, will know this, but if Dave is going to be taking some form of drink somewhere, you better believe that there's at least 4 Thatcher's going with it.
Always.
Thatcher's is a solid.
Yeah. So this is Thatcher's Zero. It's a golden, medium, dry, alcohol-free cider. It's crafted using a selection of cider apples to provide the full body and modern varieties such as 3 Counties and Hastings to deliver smoothness. I'm guessing variations of the cider apple. Crowned the best no and low cider in the UK at the Imbibe Awards in 2020. Our Zero's a hero. So, with that being said,
let's have cider. Let's have
here
cider.
we are. We have the lovely Thatcher's Zero.
Amazing.
I mean, I'll smack one in the middle so that people can have a little look.
Have a little bit. Cheers.
But at first, I'll be honest. I went to Sainsbury's. I was like, hey, co-op,
Lacking.
I'm not coming back at you for that. I'm gonna go explore. They didn't do us very well last time.
Right. Okay.
But this time round, I went to Sainsbury's. I was looking down the aisles. I was like, this is not good. I can find nothing.
Oh, same again.
Same again.
No.
But then I turned the corner, went round to another alley, and there was a nice big stock.
There
So
she was.
and there she was.
Sainsbury's is full of surprises.
Yeah, and do you know what? Of course it's going to be Thatcher's.
Had to be.
Had to be.
It had to be. There were a couple of cider options, but I had to go with Thatcher's purely for Dave's connection. So.
Amazing. Amazing.
Love that.
I love this. And the thing is, as well, often when you go out for a drink, really,
you,
it's
good
that,
lady?
thank you so much. It's that first sip. It's that whatever you're drinking. Actually, it's the moment. It's the moment of that first sip that allows you to go. Oh, I've done stuff today.
Yeah.
And I'm now at this point. So it doesn't need to be an alcoholic beverage. I think it's just it's about that sitting down. It's about that.
You say the connection,
Sense of camaraderie, the sense of getting together, having the best time.
Had a hard day's work.
Yeah, an honest day's
You've
work.
honest day's work, and you need a Thatcher's Zero.
A Thatcher's Zero. Family cider makers.
Well, cheers.
Well, cheers.
Well,
maybe we can reach.
Can
maybe
we?
I can reach
Oh,
that
yeah,
side.
lovely little
yes.
ding.
Look in the
Okay,
eyes.
now
Look in the eyes.
This, I
Very
think
nice.
we'll go
No,
for
that's
the
a stretch. That's
we'll go
a stretch.
for the right. Enjoy.
Oh, she's nice.
Ooh, she is.
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
A jazz apple.
Well, it's
Please.
Damn.
Yes, it must be.
yeah.
The best of all the apples.
I don't know, it's got a particular kind of...
Well, it's with appley aromas. if you could believe it,
literally
it's
what it
with
says.
appley aromas.
Appley
And
aromas.
that crisp refreshment.
That is the exact kind of thing you'd say if you could describe it. You go,
Appley.
I don't know.
That's an appley flavour.
kind of flavour.
That's an appley flavour.
I mean, it sounds like something my 4-year-old might say.
Yeah.
Appley? Can I have an appley?
No, I think they did outsource this.
They had to.
They did outsource this.
To the best of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, if I remember rightly, there was a research company that came to Pint Sized Playtime and was trying to talk to them about cider, and there was lots of words like appley being thrown around, and clearly they were like, "Yeah, great."
I bet did they? I hope you made a
actually
few
really good.
from that.
I
tasty.
would definitely recommend this.
That is really tasty.
I would really recommend
This
that.
is coming from someone who is a stout believer, devout, zealous,
I've only seen
almost
him,
cult-like.
Yeah, I've only
obsession.
seen him chanting. I've seen him chanting to a few cans before.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a special flute I've made that I don't know.
Yes.
You know, it's the Thatcher's flute, but that's another thing.
Thatcher's flute.
It's a different
That
conversation
is
for a
lovely.
different time.
That is lovely.
We're here to talk about something else.
Yeah, we're here to talk about something more worth our time. Here we go into the discussion of play. I mean, it's first of all, it's a true pleasure to have you. I tell you what, these little things are a bit responsive today, aren't they? Give a little knocks here and there.
Absolutely, yeah.
How dare they? But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and it's so fitting. Honestly, when we were sort of mapping out what episodes we were going to do and sort of what order we were going to do it, your name came up just instantly. We're like,
thank
right,
you.
we've got to get around the table as a three and really discuss, what is a truly amazing product and sort of experience that you're creating to make accessible to young people, and then also the parents, which is something that I really do want to dive into as well.
Absolutely.
But, I sort of want to just start off before we really dive into Pint Sized Playtime, and really acknowledge your upbringing and sort of your fascination with the arts and drama. Was it always from that sort of early age that you were really driven to get on stage and go to these big productions, or is it just through like a natural development? Because I know that you spent a lot of time sort of dancing when you were younger, similar to your brother as well. Was it family influence, or was it sort of personal drive?
I think I've always been interested in dance. My brother danced, my older brother, he danced. So then I was happy to jump on the bandwagon. I think I started when I was like 5 with the classic like ballet class, like a lot of little ones do. They start with the ballet class. And I just loved it. I instantly felt a connection to it, way more than any sort of academic thing I was kind of doing at school, especially around like 8 coming up at 10, and you're kind of going, what are your hobbies, what are your interests? That's, I think, when you really start to establish what makes you tick, what feels good. And performing was always on the radar. I'd always be singing, and then I suppose there was a sense of identity established, that I was recognised as the singing one, which then led me on to be able to do shows. And then doing shows, I thoroughly enjoyed. At that age, probably thoroughly enjoyed some of the attention I got, because that's just what inevitably comes with it. And at that age, you're not afraid to be like, yeah, they loved me. Like, you're not embarrassed about that, which we lose a lot of as we get older, which is nice how we basked at the beginning, because I think some of that is important to reestablish as you get past that point. And then I realised that not only did it make me feel good, but it also made others who were watching me do these things feel good. They would connect to it. So it was a really enjoyable circular experience. That's what I really started to enjoy. And that's when I think I realised I want to try and do this as a career. And at that point, it was very much about being a performer. It was very much about musical theatre. Hence why I went off to Liverpool to study dance, and then was lucky enough to get a Dada at Mountview.
Amazing.
Which was incredible and unexpected, but amazing, and allowed me to do that because financially we've never been a plush family. We've been okay, but we wouldn't have had the money. So to be able to do that and have that opportunity was incredible. And I am truly blessed to have an upbringing that was never, you need to have a job that's going to get you paid. You need to have, you don't chase the creative dream. It was always really cushioned with, you want to do this, you go do it. And that has obviously had a huge impact. And I realise how lucky I am to have that. And in turn, I only then want to share that with others.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned about, your family, and it would be great to hear you chime in on this, David, but that stands out to me every time I'm around your family. It's that they are so willing to let you be you and let you, in the same way, making your own mistakes, but also allow you to explore sort of new passions and drives. And it's so great to know that you were able to do that. But again, Dave, I'm sure you can sort of have a few more thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, it was always kind of quite laissez-faire, to be honest with you, but not in the sense that it was it's not the sense that our parents played a passive role. They were like, oh yeah, just it doesn't matter, just do whatever you want. Like
no.
They were very much engaged and invested in our
Yes.
futures and
Yeah.
our passions. And in fact, if anything, they encouraged that. They wanted us to have modes of things that we were passionate about and wanted to do, and they would allow us to do it as long as we were passionate about it. And entailing the consequences, whatever those might be, and being in that world, you're under no illusion that it's a lot of fun to do, to get up on the stage and perform and play and sing, and but especially when you get into, as you did, Nick, professionally,
Yeah.
it's very cutthroat.
Oh,
Very
yeah. The rejection is high.
Brutal.
Yeah. It's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. But if we're going to circle back round to this word play,
Yeah, which is
it's just it was something that I know you were really passionate about doing and wanted to pursue it, and you put so much work in to get to where you are.
Yeah.
But equally, it was that, as you say, that our parents were playful with our identities. They didn't fix us in any way. They said that be who you want to be and pursue it with everything that you have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'd 100% agree with that.
But if it doesn't work, we're here to catch you.
We're here for you, yeah. And there was a sense of reality of, this could be the outcome, this could be the consequence. But it was always, if you want to do this, then you go for it.
And was there always that feeling of in your upbringing, was there always that feeling of play when you were, because again, I know you're a really sort of family orientated collective, like,
well, for me,
was it that you just literally from just the young point, they gave you that sort of, creative freedom just to really learn and explore through play?
Yeah. Sorry, Annie, I know you're...
No, go. You go, please. No,
but
do.
It's just, I've got funny memories about all of this because, I mean, our dad he's basically an engineer by trade, and our mum was really sort of the creative one.
Yeah,
probably had,
100%.
she was an artist before she met Dad and wanted, she was. So I think when we had those inklings of like creative juices flowing in us, she just wanted to see that come out because she's kind of living vicariously through us. She's like, oh, come on. But I'm the youngest of four, so growing up, it was a perfectly normal thing to come home, 4 or 5 years old. And Nick's dressed as an Oompa Loompa. Chris is tapping in the kitchen with some jazz.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that was just perfectly normal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you just didn't
like,
batter an
that's
eyelid.
cool.
This is just what we do.
Yeah, and this is what we do. So it's just. Yeah, it was a very unusual experience because it's just I'm so accustomed to being in that environment.
But in so many regards, that's actually the thing that many people sort of really needed when they were younger. Because the reason that you almost want to encourage the strange and the make believe and the dressing up and sort of the pretend elements, because that's where actually you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about your personality, and you learn a lot of life lessons from that. And there's a story that I'm going to bring up later on, which it really does tie back to that those that sort of stifled in that sort of creative play element when they're younger, it can have quite significant detrimental effects when they get older. But so obviously you were sort of really high flying at this point, loads of big performances, but there was that I think that inner calling, right, to go, right, well, I'm really family orientated and I'd love to have my own family. How did that transition sort of come about? Was it sort of an instantaneous, like, right, I'm sort of ready to move to this sort of next chapter, or were there sort of other decisions around that you had to make?
Yeah, I mean, it was my husband and I, we were living in London together at this point in somebody else's house because you can't afford anything but that.
Of course.
Which is mind-boggling, right? Even as
someone who was doing fairly well, was doing okay. It was, and I think the pair of us got to a point, especially maybe my husband was like, I think I need to go. And I was like, that's cool. Let's do it. We both felt ready. We were engaged. So we were like, we're getting married in like a few months' time. Yeah, because I moved back. We discussed it kind of a few months before, but I moved back in the February. We got married in the April. So I was kind of like, let's just go with it. Let's roll with it. And I suppose because I had managed to do a few jobs and I'd, had a beautiful time, and we were speaking about children as well. And I personally couldn't understand how I was going to manage being a mum and keeping this kind of career going, because it is very consuming and it's beautiful and it's amazing, but it is very time consuming. The rehearsals are long, the evenings are late. So I just thought, I don't know how I can marry them up. And maybe I could have. I just wasn't willing to explore that. I just didn't want to feel the tension between the love of what would hopefully be a baby, and the love of my creativity. So yeah, we made the decision to come home and save money and got a house, and we're blessed with a little baby boy. So the shift, kind of did naturally happen. It did come about in a very comfortable way.
Yeah,
for me,
it sounds that way.
Yeah.
It sounds that way.
Yes.
I mean, and it's so strange because like in the context in which you're at now, I couldn't imagine it any other way. Like the direction in which you're now taking your sort of creativity really sort of marries up with what feels like who you are as a person. And it was amazing that you had that experience, but then it's about, you know, how else can you sort of explore that, you know, sense of play actually in its widest sense? Because I know that, you know, you sort of went through a few variations of jobs. I know that you were sort of building up your own cleaning business. You were doing some other bits and bobs, but I think you always had that almost natural curiosity about where is creativity going to take you next.
Yeah.
And I want to dive into a little bit just around the lockdown and your ukulele playing.
Yeah.
As well, because this is
Oh, well, that's another thing I missed off the intro.
Sure.
Wasn't even included.
wasn't even included. Got the catalogue.
Can you believe it?
Catalogue. So you learnt this during lockdown.
Yeah. So
talk to us about that.
I was having just a particularly. Do you know what? A lot of these things I end up doing tend to come from a moment where I'm feeling particularly bluesy. So even getting into like mindfulness and meditation came out of Benjamin, my first boy. He was born super early, so there was a whole kind of traumatic experience that happened there mentally for me, and I had to need for myself to make a shift. So I looked into mindfulness and meditation. So then the same with lockdown. I was having just a particularly bluesy day, and I was like, I need to do something that is just going to shake this off. And I'd had a ukulele sitting in the living room for quite some time. I think you guys had kindly purchased me a ukulele. Mm-hmm. So I was like, right, I'm going.
An ornament for a while.
It was a bit of an ornament for a while, I must admit. From my own, like, oh gosh, I can't play that. Can I play that? Can I do it? And so then in this situation, it was quite nice because I was playing it to release a sense of sadness. And so I was like, I'm just going to learn a couple of chords and I'm going to write just a silly little song. And I wrote a song about my 4-year-old at the time. And then posted that, and then I started just posting some more videos, and again it was that nice kind of circling around again of people listening to it and that really made me smile, and that, you know, I thought I'd kind of forgotten the ability music has to just make people feel weightless, even just for a moment, or nostalgic or playful, even just for that 2-3 minutes. And I thought that's a wonderful thing. So I throughout lockdown I kept doing that, and then became kind of ukulele music, and now I'm in a ukulele band, which is fun.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, called Anarchy in the Ukulele, which is great fun.
Word.
Yeah,
well,
really cool.
I just want to interject here because I think you're raising an important point, is that and you can definitely speak more on this, but when you're at the kind of the upper echelons of professional acting and theatre work, there's a kind of exclusivity that comes with that, and a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe there's a sense of kind of aloofness, like we're up here, everybody else is out there, and there's not really much interplay. And I don't know whether, you know, you've rekindling your, you know, that sense of joy and connection with people by just learning to play the ukulele, showing your humility, sharing your talents. You know, do you feel like if you were to have continued your professional career, or even in the moment when you were at the height of that felt a bit lost, that felt a bit kind of withdrawn?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I suppose it's shifting where the perspective is. You know, what is your ambition? Is your ambition to connect with the audience, or is your ambition to say, I'm in this big, amazing musical, just for the joy of being able to say, I'm in this big, amazing musical? And both are glorious things, and nothing can take that away from you, that you're in a big, glorious musical. But it is also then, it is nice to now be re-establishing, where do I sit within this creative movement? Is it just a moment I want on stage where I go, thank you ever so much, that was lovely? Or is it something that's going to have some longevity to it? And that's where the shift happened for me. I thought, actually, no, I want something that is going to have some lifelong change, hopefully.
Well, bringing it back, I mean, I really do sort of resonate with what you're putting out there and trying to almost, you've gone through a certain experience and then trying to reshape that and remold it to fit with what you perceive you can do with that thing, right? And sort of coming back to that sense of play again, there was a quote from its name is Dr. Brown, and this is in a book called Play: How It Shapes the Brain, Opens the Imaginations, and Invigorates the Soul. And he defines play as a state of mind that one has when absorbed in an activity that provides enjoyment and a suspension in the sense of time.
Amazing.
And when you describe that, that the premise of learning the ukulele, that you can when you're learning something new, you can really hold on to that in two different ways. Either it's this sort of chore, it's this task, or it's this sense of play. And it's nice that that initial thought of learning the ukulele really was just built in that sense of play to suspend you in that moment in time.
Yeah.
And, really enjoy the process. And you've then gone on, am I right in saying, to then you play the ukulele? You've been into retirement homes and things like that?
Yeah, so I go into care homes and I play for those that are predominantly bedbound. I have done ones where they sit in a room with me, but for me personally, I really like the process of going in, sitting with someone in a room, playing a few nostalgic songs that the family have perhaps suggested that they particularly liked, and there's again, with music, there's just a resonance that happens. There's a connection that happens. And you've even got these elderly people that are bedbound, but they're tapping their feet, and they're hearing it, they're connecting to it. And it is, in that moment, it is a suspension of anything that's happening to them, is just dissipated just for that moment. There's no judgment, there's no expectation. You're simply in that moment together. And that's a beautiful thing.
That's something special. That is something special.
And that's music. That's the power of play. I think really.
I think it's alongside the power of play. It's the power of good people. I think you have to be driven to contribute positively in such a way, right, that you're sort of taking your time out to really not just target like a whole collective, not for personal gain, but for support, just truly just emotional support. And giving people that moment in time where they can just be back at, transported back to their younger selves, right? Which is really what play does in so many ways, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
And that's why I find sort of again this whole progression to Pint Sized Playtime being it makes so much sense, right? Because the ukulele was a sort of really nice jump off point, this really nice start point to go, okay, well, actually, there's a few directions I can sort of take that. But then, it sounds like you were really heavily influenced on your lockdown experience and how you could sort of, bring some really playful experiences to your young ones. And then you were sort of almost left over with these plethora of ideas that you can then sort of give to other people. So, yeah, when did that point of going, you know what, I want to share this with others come around, and how's it been?
Well, it was inspired by my eldest. During lockdown, he was old enough to understand he couldn't see family, and as you said, we are a super family unit. So he was so aware that he couldn't see them aside from a window at the other end of the path. And it did have an effect on him. It did begin to have an effect on him. He had lots of questions, and we tried to explain to him. We used the analogy that the world was poorly, because he understood being poorly. So we said the world is feeling poorly and it needs to rest, just like you need to rest when you're feeling unwell. And so that's why we've got to stay in our homes, so we can allow the world to just rest for a little bit, which is effectively what we all kind of were able to do, which was amazing. And I then decided to, because like I say, I'd been doing little bits of yoga and meditation, and I thought, well, there must be something I can do with him because I'm aware of how it makes me feel. Why shouldn't it benefit a 4-year-old? So I started looking into things that I could actively do with him while we were at home during lockdown. And yeah, exactly that. I started to build up this kind of glossary of stuff that we were able to do that helped him. We were making like well-being wands and doing breath play with them. So you'd have beads on there and you'd breathe in, breathe out as you move the bead. You know, things like that. You're trying to make breath work applicable to a 4-year-old. Yoga poses. So again, I was using kind of my storytelling, you know, and music. And at that age, he hasn't been to school. So he's like, I'll do this with my mum. It's fine. This is great. And I had Finley, who was 1 at that point as well. So even he was able to then connect with kind of some of the stuff that we were doing. So it made it a really nice collective experience, and it allowed Benny to then understand how he can self-soothe, how he can calm, how he can understand his feelings. We spoke a lot about emotions and how to express them, and that all of them are okay. We just got to work out how to manage them. And I really enjoyed doing that with him. And so then I thought, when we came out of lockdown, this could hopefully maybe benefit lots of other little ones. And like you say, and the parents, because not only was it a connective experience for me and Benjamin, but it was also for me personally. I was able to do mindfulness and meditation at the same time, you know, so it benefited the pair of us massively throughout that process, which is then when I began trying to create the thing that now is Pint Sized Playtime. Yeah.
And it's, I truly think that this is such a needed, you know, kind of movement or redirection that we, you know, and you can probably speak on this, Will, but it seems like the arts are undermined and removed from the conversation of education.
Yeah.
And we're kind of living in this strange hypocrisy where the very people that are attempting to denounce and remove the arts are the very people who enjoy them frequently on an everyday basis.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know, the music they listen to, the art they admire, the performances they go and see, the books they read. And you know, it's just dwindling in its it's dwindling in its contribution to society. And even, you know, I think it's being underfunded as well. But I can speak from personal experience. Maybe you can as well, Nick. That being involved in the arts gives you so many incredible, powerful tools
massively
to navigate the world. You know,
Yeah.
as you mentioned earlier, dealing with rejection, dealing with embarrassment, dealing with humility,
Yeah.
or gaining confidence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Learning new skills, learning how to connect and convey emotions and communicate with others. You know, that's
100%.
just a small of a pretty exhaustive list of things that the arts gives to you.
Oh my gosh, and the value internally it does, you know, even to just to do a craft, for example, with the children, I'd say, don't worry about what it's going to look like at the end. That will be what it will be. It's the process, it's the making of it, it's the doing of it, and that is where the value of creativity is. The end product is a gorgeous thing, but you have to hold value in the process, because that's what internally supports your mind, your heart, and your soul. And that's where I think the shift could happen most strongly with education, is if we shift it from who's the best artist, who's the best this, who's the best that, and actually see it as the process is what's important, and what they gain from that that's the key thing.
Well, we've become a collective that we're very guided by quantifiable data, right? Really, you know, the way up that happens here is that a lot of the arts, a lot of creativity, a lot of play, you can't always in like a given moment measure, okay, this is where they've gone from here to here, but it negates, it ignores so much of what is so important about, you know, being creative and being playful. And, you know, there's a couple of sort of things I came across which really stood out to me. And there's a person called Bergen, who's from the Miami University Department for Educational Psychology. And he said that play is one of the main ways that children really consolidate learning. The way we really make our skills permanent and enriched and highly developed is often through our play experiences. And when you associate sort of the arts, you really do associate it with doing and being active and being involved. And it's not just sort of always this linear process. And it at the end of the day, kids take like the play and the creativity. They take it, if they're given that space to do it, they take it very seriously. You know, they're really they are like in it. That is like the work for them.
Absolutely, that is work. Yeah. It is for them. It is work, and it's mental development, and it's physical, and it is to them. Play is absolutely such important work, and I think it's also lovely for the parents to then, when they're with their child, they suddenly realise they can tap back into their inner child,
100%.
And they're reshifting things that might have happened to them way back when, and they're reprogramming themselves through this level of play. I've had parents come up to me and say, not only does it obviously benefit my child, but you've made a huge difference to me and the way I interact with my child and the way I interact with myself. And that's just through play, it's gorgeous.
Well, something I'm really interested in with the people that come along to your sessions, because all of them will be around age of going to school, or not?
So I aim it at 2+. I've got some 18-month-year-olds, so younger, because the parents they are wanting this, they are interested, and they are intrigued and curious to integrate it into the lives of their little ones as soon as possible, which for me, I think the sooner you can do it, the better, because then it's just a habit, doing mindfulness, affirmations, chakra alignment. It's just what we do, like a cup of, milk, it's just what we do. But I aim it at 2+, and it's up until 5, until they go off to school.
Yeah. And what has their experience of play been like up until the point of going into those classes? Do they have any other sort of, experiences that they've gone through, whether that be like preschool, nurseries, anything like that they've experienced before, and then they've experienced this and been able to make some comparisons between maybe the level of play that goes on?
Yeah, I think some of them do go to nursery, and then also come to the sessions. I think nursery is a beautiful social kind of play that is also important for little ones to have without their grown-ups being there. But I think my sessions are perhaps more focused on that mindfulness aspect. That's what perhaps is the difference between nursery. Although don't get me wrong, they are integrating some yoga and things in there. I've had my little boy come home and say, "Oh, we did the tree pose," and so it's in there. But the really unique thing about Pint Sized Playtime is everything is kind of around creativity and mindfulness, and then all the ideas stem from there, really. Yeah,
because I know that each week you sort of have a new theme or focus. So what, obviously you've sort of mentioned some of the things that can be included in there, but how would you sort of structure a session, both for the child and then also for the parent? Like, how does that all come together and mesh together? So
there's a few things I've actually recently added, and that's the joyful thing about these sessions for me, is that it can be an ever adapting, flowing thing. So as I start to learn about new techniques that might be coming in, I then can think, right, how can I make that applicable for little ones? So we always start with singing about our fabulous faces and how we love our faces. We then have a Marvin, he's the self-pride meet and greet monkey, and he goes round to each of them and he wants to know your name and he wants to hear about something you're wearing that you feel proud of. Because I always say it's good to feel proud of something on the outside because it's going to make us feel good on the inside. So they show off their things, they show off their clothes, they feel good. And then we often move on to a body love song. So it's a self-appreciation, it's a gratitude for the body. And again, these are all like original ukulele songs that I've put together. We then
available now for $15.99.
For free, have them for free.
Yeah.
I suppose I do need to pay my bills
Yeah,
somehow. Maybe.
We'll worry about that down the line. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, then we always move on to, I've just integrated, I've met up with a British sign language expert who's going to teach me. I've put a little song together, so they're going to teach me the signing for it, so we can put some signing, and that's when we're introduced to the theme of the day. So then with that theme, we go down to the rainbow realm and we use the tapping technique. So it's that kind of emotional freedom technique where you're tapping certain parts. It's like acupuncture without needles. So, and we always say 1, 2, 3, easy. So we're just easing ourselves in, and all throughout the session, I'm dripping in that language of easy, calm, flowing. And again, it's the parents, they're with me. Like it's great and it's lovely. So then we go on to a few yoga poses that connect to the theme. We then go into a breath play exercise. So I had a theme that was like my body, and I had made a pair of, like, printed off a picture of some lungs that had straws. So it's really easy things that you can have around the home. I'd elasticated some balloons to them, and I sang a little I Love My Lungs song. And then we always do 1, 2, 3, breathe into the belly, breathe into the heart, and then we breathe out. And obviously they enjoyed seeing the balloons blow up, but every breath play is that kind of thing. So there's a cause and effect, so they see the reaction of the breath work, and I take them through it. And then we always go into a chakra. So we just align our chakras using the rainbow. So then you're going through like red for the legs, you're going orange, you're going yellow, you're going all the way up, and you're just aligning. And they have a little rainbow song that they sing along with that. We then do a couple of activities. So then it's like sensory activities where they're kind of touching things or they're smelling things. I tend to avoid taste because obviously there's risky things there. So we have a couple of activities that we do, and then we move into there's a Mr. Fox who sits in a box, and everything I have goes into this box that Dad made me. And Mr. Fox comes out and he has a craft that they get to take home. So then we make a craft, we sit and make, and again I always try to use like recycled things, so like loo rolls, really, again, stuff they'd have around the house, and it doesn't have to look like this incredible piece of artwork. And it's a joyous connection between the parents working with their children, celebrating them. Oh, look how much effort you're putting into this. Good focus. It's all of that kind of lovely language. And then we go down to the affirmation station, and I reveal the affirmation of the day, which again is connected to the theme. So last theme was about the beach, and the affirmation was, I can relax. Like the waves of the sea, I can relax. And they do the palming technique. So they rub their hands to create heat. We don't put it over the eyes like the bait, I think it's but we put it to our head, so we put it to our mind, we say the affirmation, to our hearts we say the affirmation, and to our tummies, our souls, and we say the affirmation. And they get to take the star home, and then we have a lay down lullaby, and they have a little floating colour that they can lay with it over their heads, or they can snuggle it. So it's about creating kind of connection of calm to colour, finding what your calming colour is. And then after the lay down lullaby, I say, thank you so much. I hope you had a gorgeous time. And no matter, I always say to each of them, I say, each of you.
For adults?
Yeah, I'm very...
Feel relaxed.
Are you feeling soothed?
Yeah, feel soothed.
like I'm in a bubble bath right now.
Yeah, baby. I'd take
baby.
that. But yeah, I always say to them at the end, I say, each of you are one of a kind. So look after your spirit, your heart, and your mind. And that's how they finish.
So
and
imagine,
it's beautiful.
this is such a beautiful message and session for these children. And I love the fact that you're exploring these alternative modalities and methods of being. And I just, when you were speaking there, I thought it's probably so crucial for the parent to fully involve themselves, because it's one thing, a child turning up and participating, but when they go home, what's happening then? Right.
Yeah.
And I know of course, it's an impossibility for you to oversee that and ensure that that's still happening. But
yeah, sure.
if you see that the parent's engaged and you see that their child is really benefiting from the session,
Yeah.
that they probably try to uphold those practices
Oh,
at home?
massively.
You
And
know, have you had parents say, we still do this at home, we still do the yoga and the alignments and the tapping and
yeah, and that this term, because I only started it last September, and this term has been the biggest term of parents coming up to me and saying, well, I have a couple of examples actually. There was a parent who came up and said their 3-year-old saw that their 7-year-old sister was upset. And they went up, this 3-year-old, not prompted or anything, went up to their sister and said, affirmation station, affirmation station. And because they on the back of the stars, I put Velcro so they can create their own affirmation station. She started rubbing her hands. This mum was telling me this. The little 3-year-old was rubbing her hands. So again, the 3-year-old was able to go, you're upset. This calms me. I'll do it because it might calm you. Like that kind of process happened there. The 7-year-old connected. The 7-year-old went with it. They were rubbing their hands. And the mum, when she said, I cried because I just could not believe that happened. I mean, obviously in the moment I was welling up because I thought, this is like eureka, this is
working.
great.
Yeah,
this is working. And I had another parent saying that her little one was struggling with sleep, and then she started to self-soothe with the tapping, so she could hear her one night going 1 2 3 easy, 1 2 3, and her mum was just watching her, and she just gradually just drifted off, and she was like, it was amazing. And again, the fact that these 4-year-olds, these 3-year-olds can take these and have a tool belt of techniques from foundation, hopefully they're going to have some happy habits, some good positive patterns as they go on to become children, women, men. You know, it's just so vital that it becomes just the done thing, and it's rebuilding that compassion between the two things. But yeah, no, this term is, which is so lovely, and I'm so grateful when I hear the stories, because yeah, you do the session and I'm like, oh, this feels really good, and we're having a lovely time.
Getting that feedback.
Oh gosh, it's great. Yeah, it's beautiful.
But all facilitated through play.
Yeah.
You know, you're learning social skills. You're learning about a variety of different subject areas, just in a different format. You're learning how to manage your emotions. There is so much power in play, and it takes the right person to facilitate that. And I mean, it really does sound like that's what these sessions are doing.
I hope so. I really, really hope so.
I'm really where I want to take this.
Yeah.
You know, is I really want to take it towards now the adult side of things, because I think it's important to probably reflect on almost societal norms again. You know, it's something that we brought up in the last episode. It's something that I think is going to continuously come up. Right? It's that play is associated and purely connected to children in so many contexts, right? And almost that, you know, adults will go into protecting themselves and what they look like in a social situation, and really distance themselves from play. And I want to look at sort of people at two different phases. The first one is you know, for example, the parents that are coming to your session.
Yeah.
You know, how involved do they get, and do they really like immerse themselves and go back into sort of that childlike sort of play sense?
There's a mixture for the first session. I'd say you get some parents that already take part in a certain amount of yoga and meditation at home. So you get some parents that are already on board with the concept, and they are like, yes, I want this for my child. Let's go. And they are in it. They're doing the yoga poses with me, and they are fully immersed. You get some that come and they look a little bit like deer in headlights. But I'd like to hope that because I use a lot of kind of rhythm and rhyme, and I always say at the beginning, I say, don't worry about what's been. Don't worry about what is yet to be seen. This is a safe place, a place for curiosity, kindness, and play. And often I find that after just that little statement, a lot of the parents go, okay, actually, I don't have to expect my child to sit on a mat here and be very still. I don't have to expect my child to be smiling for the whole hour. And I don't, the judgment, the expectation, it's gone. It's compassion. That's the space. And I think after after a couple of songs, we do our little ukulele groove song and we're kind of stretching, we're moving, then they're in, and it doesn't take long. I think as soon as the parents see the child is in, they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in for this. And I think because it's techniques that are adult techniques that they might recognise and go, oh yeah, I might have seen this on Instagram or whatever, that perhaps they kind of feel a bit like, oh yeah, this is good for me too. And I always try to invite conversation after the session with the parents. So I always put out a few kind of colouring things and bits for the kids to do and play with. So I can go round to the parent and talk to each parent, how are you? How has your week been? How did you find the session? How amazing that you were able to do this with them. Like I big up the children throughout the session, but then afterwards I go to the parents and go, oh, I loved that you were doing this. And they're like, oh yeah, I was doing that, wasn't I? And it's, they get into it pretty quickly. And I have found that, yeah, those that are with me for a full batch, I do like blocks of 5, they have taken a lot from it as well. And like I say, have shifted the way they maybe even interact with their child, that they don't have to be the powerful alpha. Actually, they can do these things through play. They can establish boundaries through play. They can, you're not having wild children. Like, you can still establish boundaries, but they do it through the means that they've learnt at the session, which is amazing. And you're right. It is taking off that cloak of, I'm a grown up, I shouldn't be doing this. And that's hard.
Yeah, shedding
hard.
those layers of identity, right?
Yeah.
As you grow up, certainly when you're a child, you are formless, you're shapeless, you're anything you want to be.
You are open-minded. You're like, okay.
You're not consumed by the idea of what you should be. It's what you could be.
For sure.
And as you say, as we grow and we have these layers of identity impressed upon us, not just internally but externally, right?
Yeah.
And then we are so consigned and conform to the identity that we think we need to.
Yeah.
But as soon as we're faced with that idea of playing, it makes you shudder. It freeze up.
Yeah.
You're
the
unable
unknown.
to the unknown. Yeah. And as you say, we've already discussed this, that the idea of play is just for children. That's reserved for children. What would you say to the adult that has no children and says, Nick, I can't, what are you talking about? I can't do chakras. I can't for yoga. I can barely touch my toes. What am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. I've got a full-time job. I'm working round the clock. I can barely, look, your practice, this isn't for me.
Yeah. I'd say then you need it even more than ever. I'd say, you do. And that is the joy of creativity, is it allows you to be open-minded again. It allows you to find that and to shred that judgment and that expectation.
And perhaps as well, not, for someone like yourself, you're like a walking rainbow. You're just full of absolute.
I was gonna say when she walked in, literally a rainbow formed over,
and a leprechaun was following with a pot of
Yeah. There's unicorns behind me.
Sorry, mate. I've got to be here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. Moments before she entered the house, chucking it down with rain.
Yeah, strode in on a unicorn.
If
just
only.
Ridiculous. And then the moment she entered, I haven't even turned the studio lights on.
This
today.
is all me, guys.
This is just the glow.
This is just the glow. It's like a walking Disney movie, It's just, but it's so beautiful, and you are unique in that sense. And I suppose you're not trying to, you are so open and receptive because that's who you are. And perhaps to someone else is thinking, this is too much for me. I can't. But perhaps you would advocate for, do the things that you feel comfortable with. You don't. It's not an all in process,
nope.
right?
100%.
If the chakra alignment, okay, that makes you feel uncomfortable, fine.
Don't
what
do
else
it.
can we find that that can perhaps
you're going to connect with? For sure.
But this is the thing, right? And again, trying to just reframe what the sense of play looks like. But in reality, anything that follows sort of, anything that you see is like a recreation. Anything that it truly can be anything. It can count as play. It really just comes down to how you're framing it in that given moment.
Yeah.
You could have two you could, again, I explained this before, but you could have two people. You could have two people writing a story. One person could be having the time of their life. The other one could be really struggling with it. I just think that what is lost when you sort of reach adulthood is an acceptance that something can take up your time without it being necessarily, productive towards, your overall life goals. But I think you said it really well there, where, someone that is stressed, struggling with X, Y, and Z, actually they probably need it more. And that is also sort of supported by research, like multiple people. One being Magnuson and Barrett. It was in a journal for Leisure Scientists. Leisure Scientists.
You got this.
Sciences. Come on,
bring the
sound it out.
What is that? Sounds like what is it? Parcel tongue. Science.
It does, doesn't it? Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, you were about to give us some.
No, I was about to. Listen, I was about to make the point of the century, but no, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
Up.
Well,
yeah, but no, sorry. In the grand schemes of things, opening yourself up to play, and this is studies done on adults.
Yes.
So this isn't now children. This is adults. It reduces stress levels. It supports social cohesion. It brings about joy and helps with creating coping styles such as acceptance and positive reframing.
Yeah.
And it's not that if you are less, playful, you don't have those things, but you're able to utilize them better if you are willing to sort of engage in that sense of play. And you hear about what you've created for young kids. But as we said, I was sat back just listening to that, going like, wow, that would be amazing for and
if you could modify
it.
Yeah.
That's something I would love to do. That is something I am ambitious about, is to create some sort of, for the parents, something that, still uses some of the techniques that I've put into the Pint Sized Playtime, but to have it as an exclusive parent kind of moment. And I think it's the science does back it up, which is so important. But it's as you grow up, your programming changes. A bit like with your happy news thing. We're so used to seeing dreadful news because that's just what's drip fed in. And that's just the same as you go through school, you go through life experiences. These things, they go into your skin, they go into your mind, they go into your body. So it's about having the courage to invite yourself, to give yourself permission to try to reprogram those habits, to reprogram your mind, to flex that muscle that is the brain and go, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to give myself 2 minutes where I'm going to tap and I'm going to say a nice affirmation. I'm just going to see how it makes me feel. And I'm not going to expect it to extend the whole day. But in that moment, I'm going to go, thank you so much. You've actually just given me a sense of clarity and calm. And those little incremental moments, that's when the things will change, because it is habit. It's changing those habits. That is the hardest thing and the most important thing for adults to do, to make that shift, is just to be open-minded to it.
Fun, not functional.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Fun, not functional.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like you being here and talking about these practices, and being vulnerable, and it's so important for others to it's you're being authentic to who you are.
Yeah.
And if you engage in one of these practices like tapping, and you find it works for you, then embrace that.
Yeah, why wouldn't? Yeah,
being empowered
absolutely.
by that.
100%.
Again, it's this idea of identity, right? I understand it's difficult when friends or family might look at you oddly or unusually and say, "Well, that's
what are you doing?"
But in that moment, acknowledge that they are just reacting to their own conditioning, and their own identities, and they are where they are, and being authentic to who you are might inspire others to do the same.
I really hope so. Yeah, I do hope so. And don't get me wrong. I mean, you joked about unicorns trotting behind me as I came in, but
Joke.
even
Listen,
They're still parked outside.
yeah,
And this is tight round here.
this is
Parking is tight round here.
It is, yeah, they're taking up space.
they're very well behaved.
Yeah.
They've been clamped.
They've been clamped. Dear Lord.
To fly off.
I've given them their most tastiest snack, and they're just quite happy.
Oh, well, I'm glad. What do unicorns eat?
Like really glittery carrots.
What makes them glitter?
Oh,
You
magic.
just cover them. with
Magic.
glitter.
Magic.
Only you possess
You best
that.
believe it.
Only you possess that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we could all possess that.
We could all possess our own magic.
Yeah,
carrot.
exactly.
Absolutely.
If we're willing to believe.
Absolutely. Be willing.
I feel
Yes.
like if there weren't cameras on, I feel like the conversation around those unicorns would have probably, gone on for 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
it
I
would
love
have
I love
definitely
that.
expanded.
Listen, I love that silliness.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
playfulness.
And
for
perhaps
sure.
this is a good moment to speak about, the ways that me and you will, invite play into our own lives. And
Yeah.
it's in the same way that we do at home, right? It's just about lots of storytelling and imagining absurd scenarios and then going with them, doing voices,
Yeah.
playing characters.
But this is a delightful thing because then you just get to explore. What does that feel like? What does that look like? Did I go too far? Yeah, that didn't feel good. But you're doing it through a sense of play, so there's a sense of forgiveness to it as well, which is great.
It's the flexibility again. I think probably because that you've come from the family that you have. I honestly I think me and Dave engage in play every day.
Yeah.
Quite literally every day, and I am all the better for it, truly, because we will walk in one of us will walk in the front door, one of us will either make a weird noise or we'll start off on a strange conversation, or after maybe some niceties, or maybe not. It really depends.
Might just go straight
Niceties.
into it.
Yeah, and then we can just go down this tangent of truly nothingness for so long, and we are just in like fits of laughter for just all day. And that really does come back to that, having an environment where you feel open to we talk about you spend so much of your day having to be this sort of sensible, this professional individual, and there is a real cathartic release when you then come home and you just let this other persona sort of take over in the moment. So and I would say that's how we invite play into our lives, and maybe we just continue to see if we can come up with maybe we'll come up with a specific story. We'll share something in
the
a
world.
future
And we've done so
episode.
many skits and scenarios,
just
I mean,
endlessly.
which are hilarious to us. Maybe they're just not funny at all.
But do you
Maybe
know what?
it doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
It doesn't
Like
matter.
we said, it's about the process.
It's the
about
process.
about
That
the
process you've gone
process.
through then is...
And this is the thing, right, as well, is that so many people deny themselves creative freedom or expression because they're not good at something.
Yeah, they
Or
feel like, I
feel
can't
like
do
they're
that.
good. I mean, two things on that, right? One, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you have to accept failure as it, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you're passionate about it, the failure should be kind of part of the play in a sense.
Absolutely.
It's not. I don't really like failure. Has so much stigma, and it's a heavy loaded word, and I think it appears far too frequently.
Yeah, because it's not failure. Often when you look back, you go, yeah, that was the stepping stone to this.
Yeah, it's a learning
know.
moment.
Interesting. This is just a random one that I had yesterday. Came back from the lake, sat down. Ash was watching a program on Netflix called Losers. So it was talking about the experiences of people who are like lost in sport in some way, shape, or form, and how that then went on to sort of manifest and shape elements of their life. And that's exactly what it was. Is that actually it was these big failures that actually led to some of the greatest triumphs that you couldn't even fathomably imagine.
Yeah.
But again, coming back to that probably social conformity, fear of what others will think, it will forever have that.
That is the biggest thing that needs to happen, not just amongst parents, but everybody. Yeah, is to throw that out the window. That sense of, am I a successful parent? Am I doing it right? nobody's got a clue. No one gets the blueprint when you have a baby. We're all working it out. And I think the moment you come to terms with that, and the same as just being human, we're all working it out. And I think the moment you can go, oh, actually, I'm allowed to be playful because I'm working this out. Yeah. That's all that's happening every single day. You're just working it out. And, I have bouts of sadness and vulnerability and even death, and I talk about it. I think it's a great thing to talk about, and I think it's important to be open about it. And yes, I am a fairly jolly person, but I also, in those moments where I am sad, a bit like with the ukulele, that came from sadness. And even my getting into mindfulness, that came out of postnatal depression. That came, a lot of these things actually came from being triggered into going, actually, I need to do something creative about this because I want to be playful with this sadness. I don't want to just sit in it. And it's fine to sit in it for some time for what you need, but eventually you have to go, what can I do with this? Where is this going to take me? And it's being playful with even those hardest moments. It's trying to find a sense of play in that. Even with you're doing a lot of running next month, and it's even like before you go out for a run as a parent, you kind of think, oh yeah, I'm going to do 5 kilometers. I'm going to do it in this time. Like, why not actually just go, I'm going to have a journey here. I'm going to see, I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't know where I'm going to run. I don't know what I'm going to meet along the way. And that, for me, makes it a much more enjoyable experience than this is my goal. I'm a painter, so I'm going to be creating this thing. Again, it's the process.
Mm-hmm. Well, a fitting end to a truly just a positive experience this last hour. Truly.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, it's been. I'm a real firm believer in what you've created, what you're doing, and then the energy that you're bringing to that. And I would truly love to see, that then also transition into something that's there for adults as well, and we can continue to bridge that gap of play as a child and then play as an adult, as a way of supporting your happiness and a way of sort of recentering you back to that idea of like, let's not take ourselves too seriously all the time. Let's enjoy the inner workings of play.
Absolutely. I mean, my ambition is to set up a cafe that's a family-focused space with a creative hub called Joy Connection. So it's simply about the joy of connecting back to your joy. It circles round, and that is not just for the little ones, but for the parents too.
And perhaps this could be, this could establish an archetype to be taken elsewhere.
Maybe, you never know.
Who knows?
See where it's going to go.
I want to see the whole nation's chakras realigned.
Yes, please.
And everybody tapping and affirming how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Get that chakra beat on the go.
Well, you lead the way and we shall follow.
You lead the way. Your glow, your energy, your spirit, your vitality will surely permeate anybody's soul. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's such an inspiration. And I suppose this is a good opportunity for a little bit of PR. PR.
Plug.
PR.
What is PR? Oh, is it plugging? Is that what PR means?
You can PR.
No, plugging can mean something
PR's
else.
press release,
not go
isn't
there.
it? Well, no, maybe I didn't mean PR then.
No, you meant like a plug. You meant like you showcase what you're doing.
I've been watching too much like courtroom dramas and
right. Okay, that's
and not understanding enough.
Yeah.
I exposed you.
PR, yeah.
I think it's a press release.
Yeah, no, I thought it was personal regulation.
No. I've been watching enough of these. I know.
Well, it could be purple rhinos.
Could be purple rhinos. Maybe in your vernacular it is.
Maybe.
But is there anything you want to tell the world about? What you're doing right now? Any sessions they might be able to get involved in?
Yeah. I've so on Instagram and Facebook, I am at Pint Sized Playtime. And on there, I pop up lots of little videos of what we do. And I've got a final batch of sessions coming up in a couple of weeks. So if people are interested, they can go onto my website, which is on my bios for the social media platforms. So they can have a look on the website, what we're up to, and they can book in for some sessions. And that will take us up to the 6 weeks summer holidays. And if they're interested in my ukulele music, that's at nicolele.music. Might have to write that one out.
Yeah, we'll get it on the screen.
Yeah,
We'll get it on the screen.
the old
All the links
screenage.
will be there.
I'll put it over Dave's face.
Great.
Yep.
And that's on, the old cover his face.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The entire podcast.
Please.
Yeah, the entire podcast. I'll put a ukulele over his face.
Excellent news.
Can you put a unicorn there as well? Maybe.
Unicorn as well.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're
Sure.
the whiz. You can do
100%.
it.
And the true meaning of PR as well.
And the true meaning of PR right at the end.
Brilliant. But yes, that's where I am. And I so hope that many parents and little ones will be able to connect with Pint Sized Playtime, and whatever it comes or goes to be is an exciting adventure for all of us.
And I'm sure they will. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It was
Thank you.
it was a real pleasure.
It was
and
great.
Amazing to have the second episode in the bag with a special guest.
Oh,
so,
thank you so much.
We would happily have you on again. If
Yeah.
the time arises, we'll have you on again.
Absolutely.
yeah, if you want to see any more of sort of these little expressions of happiness episodes, or if you want to see other bits from Serotonin, have a little look on our Instagram page or on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll see you next time round.
Peace.
I need to tend to my unicorns now. Is that okay?
Yes. heavily
Please
fined
do.
unicorns.
Please do.
Happy